A sapling chose the worst place to grow, and the storm decided to teach it how to stand. Her name was Lila. She lived in a coastal village where people prized smooth lives and quiet days. Lila loved the sea and the wind, but she feared them too. She wanted comfort. She wanted certainty. She planted a tiny seed one spring because the garden looked empty without something new. The other villagers planted near the well, where the earth was soft and the rains pooled. Lila pressed her seed into a shallow crack in the cliff, where wind bit the soil and salt tasted the air. Neighbors shook their heads. "You'll never keep a tree there," they said. Lila smiled, but inside she worried. She worried about failing. She worried the wind would take everything she cared for. Then the first storm came. A wall of sky rolled in from the sea. Rain lashed the cliff. The young sapling barely had 2 leaves. The wind grabbed its stems and bent them nearly to the ground. Lila sheltered it with her cloak, but the storm chewed at everything. Branches snapped, soil washed away, the cliff crumbled a little. She woke in the morning to find the sapling leaning, its roots half exposed, its leaves ragged. She propped it up with a stick and whispered, "Grow," but storms returned. Each one was worse than the last. Sometimes the wind howled all night. Sometimes the rain came with hail that sounded like pebbles on a roof. Lila dug trenches, tied cloth around the trunk, and anchored stones at the roots. Each effort helped for a while, but then the next storm found a new weakness. Near the end of the second season, a storm bent the young tree so low that Lila nearly wept. The villagers passed by and said, "Why waste your time? Plant where it's easy." Lila wanted to give up. She wanted the smooth life everyone praised. But each time she wanted to quit, she noticed tiny changes. A thicker stem, a root that clung deeper, a leaf that no longer ripped at the first gust. She kept going. She kept repairing the wounds. She kept holding the line. Seasons blurred. Storm after storm came. Lila learned to listen to the wind. She learned where to pack the soil. She learned how to prune so the tree wouldn't tear itself apart. The tree bent and bowed and then bent some more. The cliff gave and the roots found new cracks to grip. The work became a ritual. The ritual became practice. Practice became strength. One autumn, after years of small victories and fresh damage, Lila climbed the cliff with a lantern. The storm clouds were low and heavy. She ran her hand over the trunk. It was not smooth. It carried the scars of wind and salt and lightning. But it also carried rings of growth that told a different story. The old gardener, who had once scoffed at her choice, stepped out from behind a rock. He had watched. He had aged while she worked. He rested on his cane and said quietly, "You planted where the wind would teach you to stand." Lila laughed and then cried. "I thought I was protecting it from the wind," she said. "I thought I was keeping it safe." The gardener shook his head. "No," he said. "You thought the storm was the enemy. The storm was the teacher. It taught the roots to dig, the trunk to bend without breaking, and the branches to shed what would hold them back. The tree did not survive because it avoided the storm. It survived because it learned from it." Lila looked at the trunk and saw it the way the gardener did. Each scar was not damage alone. Each scar was proof of a lesson learned. The tree had been shaped by force into form. The cliff had made the roots clever. The wind had made the trunk flexible. The storm had made the tree able to stand where other trees could not. And now, listen closely. Your storms are not accidents. They are the agents of change. The hard seasons that crack you open do not aim to destroy you. They aim to teach you how to root where others cannot. When life bends you, it makes you bend with purpose. When life strips what's fragile, it leaves what can bear more. If you avoid every gust, you will never learn how to turn and flex. If you avoid every hard place, your roots will stay shallow. The world will not always hand you soft soil. Sometimes it throws you onto a cliff and asks you to find a way. That cliff will show you where your grip can be strongest. The storm will show you where your trunk can be most flexible. The trial will teach you how to grow toward light despite the pressure. So do not pray only for calm. Pray also for the courage to stand when the wind comes. When difficulty rips a branch or strips a leaf, remember this: the wound is not the whole story. The wound is also the classroom. The scar is the diploma of endurance. The tree that grew in the storm did not escape the wind. It learned to become the wind's last lesson: to stand